Good evening. I'm Jac Tyler, and welcome to Beneath the Covers. Now, last year, we very sadly heard that the amazing Derek Acorah passed away suddenly from a short illness. Now, I was lucky enough to see Derek a couple of times on his live show, and he was amazing. He always gave people comfort, and people just loved him. But I always say, behind every great man is a great woman. And this evening, I would like to welcome Derek's wife, the wonderful Gwen Acorah.
Hello,
Hi,
everybody.
Gwen.
Hi.
Oh,
Thank you for having me.
Oh, no, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Now, how have you been today, Gwen? Are you okay?
Yes, all good. It's been a very, very wet day today here in Southport, so it hasn't been too pleasant. But yeah, all good. All
Yeah.
good.
We've got some people already that have popped up to say hello. We've got Nigel Porter, Jem Louise, Dawn Rose, and Anne Royal. Hi, guys. Welcome. Now, Gwen, I was saying at the beginning how it was quite a shock for us to hear about Derek passing. So
It was a shock to me too.
Yeah. So tell us what happened.
Well, we both had flu, and Derek we were both really, really sort of ill. And
This was during lockdown, wasn't it?
No.
Oh, it wasn't.
Was before lockdown. This was January. On the 1st of January, Derek got taken into hospital because he started losing the colour from his hands. Although he wasn't short of breath, he was obviously short of oxygen. And on the 1st of January in the afternoon, he got taken into hospital. My son-in-law took him into hospital. I had flu. We didn't think that it was anything sort of major. We thought he maybe just needed some antibiotics or something like that. And but it didn't turn out that way because they put him into an induced coma. He was intubated. At 1 o'clock in the morning on the 2nd of January, I got a phone call to go to the hospital because things were not looking good. And yeah, that was the way things went. The hospital tried all sorts. He was, as I said, he was intubated. He was on dialysis to try and beat the infection. He was on all sorts of antibiotics and heart medicines and this sort of thing. And then on Friday, the 3rd of January, I was told there was no hope. They were turning the assistants off.
Yeah.
And that was sort of the Friday evening, 11:30 at night, that they did it. And he lasted half an hour. He went just over into the 4th of January and he left us. His body left us. I thought that he'd already gone.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that because you saw him go before, didn't you? You had a vision
on the Thursday evening. Yeah. Well, no, not the Thursday evening. It was the very early hours of the Friday morning, about 4 o'clock in the morning, when I'd come home from the hospital. And yeah, I was in the kitchen with the light on, looking out towards the conservatory, and I saw him walking away.
Wow. So
Yeah.
you didn't actually get to speak to him in the hospital then, did you?
No. My last words to Derek, and this is what really, really, really guts me. My last words to Derek were, "Derek, you've still got your slippers on." And he said, "It doesn't matter, love you." And he got into my son-in-law's car. I mean, we thought we were seeing each other.
Yeah.
Later on, I had really bad flu, the same as he did. So that's why I didn't go with him.
Yeah.
Um, uh, and so it didn't bother the hospital, sort of that although I had flu and told them I had flu, they um, I was in there around people, and I think to myself now, my God, did I infect anybody?
Oh,
Because at that time of the year, the accident and emergencies places are always chocker, and late at night they don't have the front doors of hospitals open. You have to sort of meander through all sorts of departments, and to get out, the A&E was one of the departments that I had to go through. Yeah, so sort of it was something that I thought of, but of course COVID and coronavirus on the 4th of January hadn't been talked about. It was
right.
only the end of January when people started thinking, ooh, there's something going on here that isn't too good. And they started talking about coronavirus. I can't remember when they came up with COVID. Maybe a month later, something like that. But it's my firm belief that the virus was in the country from maybe October, November the previous year.
Yeah.
Definitely, because
So
so
it's a
many people that
possibility
I know
he
were
might,
ill.
yeah, it's a possibility he might have had COVID then. It wouldn't have been confirmed,
I
would it?
think that it is a huge possibility because um, all the symptoms were there. The treatment was the same.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
and I assume because he's in contact with people, he's probably doing his shows and things like that, he might have been exposed to something.
Oh,
Because,
absolutely, yes, because it's amazing, and I'm sure that anybody who does theatre shows and meets with the public in big numbers would say that they find themselves terribly, terribly prone to coughs, colds, flus, this, that, the other. Because of course, Derek always used to go out after a show to say hello to any members of the audience that cared to stay behind to see him. And of course, he was a very tactile person. There were always hugs and kisses and handshakes and this and that and the other, sort of. And so he was always, always had some sort of cough or
contact.
cold or sniffle. And he also had hay fever as well, which was,
Oh,
if it wasn't a virus, it was the flowers.
yeah. Oh, bless. But do you feel him around you, Gwen?
Um, Not all the time. No, not all the time. I know he's here, but
Yeah.
that's just sort of a belief. But yes, I feel him sometimes. Yeah, definitely.
That must give you
I know
comfort.
he's around.
Yeah.
Um, no, it makes you feel cheated because you can't see.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
But
it it would be absolutely fabulous if I could see him, but I'm not a psychic, so I can't.
oh, that's a lovely picture of the two of you together.
That
Now,
was taken at Salem, actually.
oh,
Uh, yeah, Salem in Massachusetts, the home of the witch trials. Yeah,
yeah.
that's where the one was taken.
Yeah, because you worked with Derek, didn't you? You were sort of behind the scenes doing
Oh
all
God,
the
yeah. It was only the two of us that really. I mean, yeah, Derek had a theatre booker and a manager who used to sort out his tour, but everything else, no, it was just the two of us,
yeah.
and
But
always was.
you were never in the spotlight though, were you? You were always sort of
Didn't want to be, no.
yeah. That's why I'm honoured that you're on here tonight because it's great to be able to see you and talk to you. But you are trying to. I mean, you're keeping Derek alive, really, aren't you? You've got his the Friends of Derek page on
Mm,
Facebook. Yeah. So
yes, yeah.
what's that all?
Um, well, I thought that Derek has worked for spirituality and for 40 odd years. I thought, I can't just let him just fade away and be forgotten. And so the Friends of Derek Acorah was created, whereby people who knew Derek or had met Derek or had a huge Derek had some sort of impact on their life. Um, they come on and they do readings for people, and yeah, they're all fabulous. Yeah.
Yeah, I bet he'll love that, wouldn't he? He'd be really, really
Oh
pleased.
yeah. Oh yes, absolutely he would. He would be cock a hoop. Somebody's just sitting there doing readings in his name and he can sit back and do nothing.
Now, Gwen, I mean, I've lost my husband 5 years ago, so I know what it's like,
Mm,
to be a widow, and it's really, really tough. But I can't
mm,
imagine what you must be going through, having to deal with it in the public eye. And I know Derek was really
mm,
popular, had that charisma, didn't he? And people just loved him. So it must be lovely to have all the fans and the lovely comments. But then
mm.
there are those other mediums and things, people that are sort of coming out of the woodwork, aren't they? And sort of saying they
God,
can
yeah.
feel Derek and he's working with them. I mean, how on
Yes.
earth do you cope with that? That must be so hurtful.
I don't. I get very angry actually, because I wonder at these people and think, do they not think that Derek and I talked about what would happen when one of us went? Because we did. And the one thing that Derek always said was that he would remain with me and until we met again. He wouldn't continue on his work for Spirit until I was there, and I don't think that he would change that in any way. Um, and but it's so ridiculous because the people that are spouting about, oh yes, Derek's with me, Derek's there. They didn't know Derek. They didn't know him. I mean, it's all the public persona is not the person, you
Yeah.
know. Um, you can't be the same person in public as you are in private, even though Derek, what you saw was what you got with Derek. His personality, he loved people, he loved um his life, he loved being with people, but it's I know that he wouldn't. The way that it all works out. No, no, that's not Derek. If you're channeling somebody, it must be. I don't know what Derek it is, but it isn't Derek Acorah or Derek Johnson. It's
What
not the
did he
Derek.
believe, Gwen? Did he believe that he would come back again, or not? Or did he not want to come back again?
He didn't want to come back. No, no, not in the physical sense.
Yeah.
No. Um, he wanted to go on and be a teacher. Uh, um, uh, as, in spirit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
So
he always said that at some point he would come back. Sam, his spirit guide, would come
yeah,
back in physical form, and Derek would guide him. So they'd swap.
yeah. Did was Sam? Because I remember seeing him talk to Sam and everything. Was
Mm,
he always with him? Was he always guiding him and
always,
helping him? Right.
always. Sam was always around. Always. I mean, Sam was just part of my life as he was part of Derek's life. It was Sam was always there. Sort of. I mean, it was just a given. I always used to joke with Derek and said, you'd say, sort of, there's three of us in this bed, sort of one turns over, we all turn.
So you didn't have a spirit guide as well then, because then that would have been even more complicated, wouldn't it?
Well, Derek tells me that everybody has a spirit guide.
Yeah.
Everybody. So I suppose, yes, I've got a spirit guide, but I don't know anything about that person.
How did you and Derek meet?
Um, through friends, really. That's how we met latterly. We both used to go to the same nightclubs in Liverpool when Derek was a footballer and I was just doing whatever I was doing.
That's right, because he was a
I
footballer, wasn't he?
He was, yeah, he was. Football was his life. Before spirituality
Yeah,
became part of his life, football was his life. Yeah.
yeah. So you met in the club, and then how did he? What did he just come up and chat to you, or?
Yeah, it was. It was sort of a friendship thing, sort of, and we did literally just meet for coffees and chatting and this sort of thing before it went
Yeah.
any further.
So when did
Um,
he tell
and
you then
I
that he
did,
was
I did.
psychic?
Oh no, I didn't know for about 6 months that Derek was a psychic or a medium or was involved in. I mean, he was a sports coach, and I thought that was what he did. Because of course he'd given up his football career when I met him. That had finished through an injury. So yeah, he was coaching. Um, but he didn't say anything at all for the first. Well, yeah, must be 6 months or so. And then one day the conversation got around. And he asked me, did I believe in tarot readings? And of
Yeah.
course, so I said, oh yes, I've been with the girls in the office, sort of I've been for I went to so and so's house and Mr. Flynn came along and did our cards, and oh yes, it was all very interesting. And that's how the conversation as to what Derek did came
Yeah.
about. But of course, he
So
was
when
going to um, spiritualist churches and working in circles and this sort of thing, rescue and whatever.
Yeah. So what was life like with Derek at home? How was he sort of different to who we see Derek to be? I mean, you had a very happy marriage, didn't you? So
Oh
what made you?
yes.
Yeah. What was he like at home?
Um,
What sort of things did he like?
what did he like? He liked watching football, which was a huge irritation to me because I can't stand football. Um, uh,
He loved
he was
animals as
just
well,
well.
didn't he? You had
Oh God,
dogs.
yes. We have two dogs and a couple of cats, and we've always had dogs and cats. And of course, he loved his hobby was his fish pond. He enjoyed sitting next to that with a glass of wine. Um, yeah, he was just an ordinary guy at home. I can't think of anything that would make anybody go, "Oh, did he really?" Because he didn't. He was
Well,
so
actually, he
boring.
isn't he a qualified pilot?
Oh yes,
So
yes.
that might surprise
That
some
was
people.
it would, yes. Yes, I went on his first lesson with him and swore that I'd never get in a plane that he was piloting again. Um, yeah, I went on that first lesson from Speak Airport round Llandudno. I don't know whether you do know, but it's a coastline, a part of the
Yeah.
coastline, and back to Liverpool, and we land. And I thought the first lesson, would be a chappie sitting there saying, "Oh, well, you do this and you do that and you do the other." But no, no, it doesn't. It doesn't work like that at all. Um, he sort of instructs, but Derek was in charge, and I was thinking, oh, and this plane that we were in was no bigger than a Mini with wings, so it was a four-seater. I was thinking, oh my God. But no, he loved it. He really did, and he went on to get his license, and yeah, he
Did
loved
you
it.
did you do much? Did you go on many trips up in the plane with him?
With him
Yeah.
piloting.
Yeah, flying.
No, not one, not one. I left it to EasyJet and people like that.
Yeah. So
No,
what about
no. He
Pathfinders? Sorry, go on,
Pathfinders.
Gwen.
No, I was saying he wanted to get a microlight. We have a home
Oh
in
yeah.
Spain, and he wanted to get a microlight and for me to go up with him, but no, 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 no.
Oh
Pathfinders,
yeah.
yes.
How did you get involved with that?
Well, he was appearing at the theatre in Glasgow, and somebody came along and said, "Oh, there's a lady at the stage door, so she'd like a word." And I think she'd actually arranged it with Stuart Hobday, who was Derek's manager at the time, that she could meet Derek. And she asked whether Derek and myself would become patrons to her charity, Pathfinder Guide Dog Program, which uh, trains German Shepherd dogs as assistance dogs to people who can't see.
Yeah.
And we agreed, and we've been involved in Pathfinder dogs since that, and that's nearly 20 years ago. Derek used to do whatever he could do. I mean, he was very busy, so he couldn't sort of pop up at every given opportunity, but wherever he could, he would go and help. And he always had the buckets, the collection buckets at shows, and Anne would come along and uh, whenever he was in Scotland, and yeah, it's really good. It's such a worthy cause. And we do all that we can to raise money, because it's enormously expensive, the training and the upkeep and of the dogs. So yeah, it's an ongoing thing, and I would encourage everybody to go along to Pathfinder
We've got
Dog's
a banner on
Facebook
the bottom.
page and
Yeah, we've
follow
got a banner
them.
going to the
Yeah,
bottom.
fabulous. Yes, yes,
Because
I can
there's
see.
actually a dog called Acorah as well, isn't there?
Oh yes, Pathfinder Acorah. Yes, 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 and he's beautiful. He's just over a year old now. He came about. Yes, there's Pathfinder Acorah.
Oh,
Cheeky boy, just like his namesake. But there's the baby of the family now. There's Pathfinder Yannick, who's so beautiful as well. But yeah,
oh. Well, let's have a look at some of the comments here. So we've got Chrissy Wheatley said, "Was he a good footballer?"
was he? Was he
A
a
good
good footballer?
footballer.
Derek would always say that he wasn't a good footballer, but I can remember his mum and dad talking to me, and they said that he was a very good footballer. But he was at Liverpool when the whole team was sort of internationals and this sort of thing. So they were very, very highly placed, these people. And so Derek coming along as sort of he didn't really get the opportunities, but he ended up playing in Australia for a Premier League. So yeah, he got it. He had his moments.
Yeah. Julie Hay says, "Hello, Gwen. Derek would be so proud of you. Gwen, your strength in the way you keep Derek's legacy alive. Amazing lady."
Oh, that's very kind of you.
Yeah, that's lovely. And Anne Royal, he did the tank drive sitting on the gun.
He did, yes, yes. Um, Derek did a few unusual things for Pathfinder dogs, and being a passenger in a Centurion tank, I think it was. Centurion. It was a tank anyway.
Yeah.
Um, being driven by Anne Royal herself, who is the founder of Pathfinder Dogs and who is blind. So I think he was very brave.
Did you go on investigations with Derek?
Oh
Did you
yes.
go on? Yeah. And
Oh,
when there were times, do you ever see him get possessed? Because sometimes he used to get possessed. I remember watching on Most Haunted. Did you ever see that?
mm. Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Did it frighten you at all, Gwen?
No, because I knew that he was completely in control. Um, when a medium channels a spirit, they have to have disciplines. They have to protect themselves, and so what you saw was Derek channeling, but no, he was in control. Nothing really sort of went beyond that. There were a few hairy moments, but generally he was okay. I mean, I can remember it was in a nightclub in Manchester called Brannigan's, and it was really weird. It wasn't a particularly nice place. It was. I don't know whether it still exists, but it used to be a Methodist chapel, and it had a huge organ, with the big organ
Yeah.
pipes and this sort of thing. And Derek and the producer of the program were having a look around, and sort of, for some reason, they thought it'd be a good idea to sort of climb up behind these organ pipes, and yeah, it was very, very dangerous, really. And Derek actually saved the guy's life because he slipped, and Derek managed to grab him. And although people might have thought Derek was a bit wimpy and this sort of thing, he was actually a very strong man. Um,
Yeah.
um, he wasn't wimpy at all. Um, yeah, so he saved the guy's life, but yeah, it was. That was one of the places that I can remember Derek channeling a spirit,
Mm.
and it was pitch black. Although the night cameras you can see on the television, you can see. I can assure you that in that room it was pitch black. Nobody could see anything. Just the vaguest, if you're in a dark room and your eyes get used to the darkness, you can see a vague outline, but you can't sort of see particularly anything. But Derek was working, and he was walking around, and he could see, if you understand what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, there were different levels to the ground, and anybody else, they would have stumbled, but no, he was aware. He could see. It was amazing.
Yeah.
That was one of the times when I thought that things went just a little bit too far.
Yeah. Going back to Most Haunted, because that's where I first saw Derek watching Most Haunted. He was just brilliant. He made Most Haunted, and then
He did.
suddenly he was gone. And we didn't know, what had happened. And then I read that Kieran O'Keefe came out. He was the skeptic on the show, and he came out and claimed that Derek was a fake. And Vet Fielding backed up the claim as well. I mean,
Oh,
Derek must have been devastated about that. I mean, what happened?
well, can I first say that Kieran was a tame psychic, a tame skeptic.
You can say anything you
I
like, Gwen. This is your
was
show.
doing as he was told. No, Derek handed his notice in to Most Haunted in 2004. He said to his then agent, Stuart Hobday, that he wanted to leave Most Haunted because he felt the atmosphere had gone down. He didn't enjoy working with the people anymore, not the crew. He didn't enjoy working for the people anymore. And yeah, so a meeting was called in Manchester. Derek went, Stuart, his agent, went, Antics Productions went, and two representatives from Living TV were there as well. Derek handed his notice in, and the Richard Wolfe from Living Television asked him whether he would consider doing one more series of Most Haunted and a couple more lives. Can't remember whether it's two, three. couple more lives, whilst it gave the opportunity for him to develop a program for Derek on living television, which he ultimately did, and it was called Derek Acorah's Ghost Towns.
I remember watching that.
You remember it?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. And so that's what happened. That is why Derek ended his relationship with Most Haunted. But of course, he had agreed to do another series, which was series six, and it was horrendous.
Oh.
It was horrendous. The way he was treated was horrendous. And he came close to a nervous breakdown. Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
And then we came to a day in the summer. I think it was the summer. And the filming was supposed to take place at Sinai House in, I don't know whether it's Derbyshire or Staffordshire. It's that area.
Yeah.
And Derek went in to make up, which was in the kitchen of Sinai House. And he started sweating. He really started sweating. And he stood up, he went out. I followed him. He said, I can't do it anymore. I can hear what has been going on before I arrived. I can hear it. I can hear what has been said, and I'm not doing it anymore. And that was it. He walked off. Even though the series hadn't been completed, he walked off. And he went back and did whichever lives. I can remember the last time he had anything to do with Most Haunted was the Halloween live in the October of 2004-5.
I'm glad you've told us that, Gwen, because that's kind of put the record straight, because we didn't really, we didn't hear Derek's side really, so it's quite nice to have that out there. Well,
no, Derek couldn't give his side of the story, could he? Because he was on a gagging order. How fortunate Kieran was that he wasn't on a gagging order. But I don't mind saying that there were no bits of paper. Kieran was telling porkies when he said he left bits of paper around and this sort of thing. That's rubbish. Absolute out rubbish.
Yeah. It was just on a witch hunt, weren't they? So.
No, they weren't on a witch hunt. They wanted to ruin Derek because, of course, him handing his notice in and knowing that there was a program coming up with Derek in it, there was competition, so they wanted to ruin him.
Yeah, I remember ghost towns. My son was on a school trip. It was a few years ago. He was on a school trip, and he saw Derek. They were on a school trip, and Derek was filming in this whichever place they were at, and he was so excited. He said, "Oh, I met Derek Acorah, and we had a chat and everything." Yeah, I remember that.
It was a good program.
Yeah. So Derek was also on Celebrity Big Brother, wasn't he? Did he come? Did he come fourth?
Fourth, yes.
Yeah.
Much to both our amazement, we thought he'd be booted out on the first eviction.
So what was that like for you, Gwen? I mean, watching him, not being able to speak to him. How long was he in there for? He
was in there for a month. Yeah, it was a month, and there really is no contact. There's nothing. Sort of nobody's allowed to get in touch. They're not allowed to get in touch with anybody. It's it really is. They're locked away, and that's it.
How did he find the experience? What did he say about it when he got back?
He actually enjoyed it. He did, because it was something totally different. And as I say, Derek is a very outgoing people person. Derek was a very outgoing people person, and so he enjoyed it enormously. he enjoyed the fun. Because he was a fun person, you know, sort of, and he'd get up to all sorts of mischief if he could, you know, sort of it. So yeah, he enjoyed every minute of it.
My screen seems to be frozen.
You're
Is it?
you are frozen, yes. Only not
Yeah.
now.
Oh, am I back? Because I can't. I'm frozen
You're.
on my end. Oh well. I'll just. Can you see me, Gwen?
I can see you. Yeah, you just freeze from now and again.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll just carry on talking then. Yeah. So with the Big Brother, did he make any sort of celebrity friends there that he kept in touch with afterwards?
Yes, he did. He kept in touch with Sean, and a few of them. Yeah, yeah. I mean, over the years, Derek made many, many, many friends of celebrities because lots of people sought out his services, but he never
Yeah.
ever spoke about it. So yes, he had lots of celebrity friends, but uh, yeah, he kept in touch with some of them from Celebrity Big Brother, but unfortunately, it was not. It didn't last very long, you know, because of course he passed away 2 years later.
Yeah. I mean, he had a lot of lovely fans that absolutely adored him, didn't he? And he must have got sent some like really strange things. Is there anything that you can remember that was a bit strange? He's been sent, or an experience when you've been out where fans come up to him, or anything?
Oh, there's all sorts of strange stories. um, People were very, very kind to Derek and used to give him all sorts of things, all sorts of gifts and this sort of thing. But um, some sometimes some people were a little bit sort of over the top, if you know what I mean.
Oh, tell us, Gwen.
um, you know, sort of it's. I'm sure that many people um, receive similar items through the post. The type that goes straight in the bin, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
um, but yeah, he had some funny times. I mean, I can remember him being in a hotel in Ireland and not closing his bedroom door properly when he vacated the room, so he trundled down to reception, and some people had gone into his room and were scrutinizing the bed sheets for hairs and taking the
Oh no.
towels, this sort of thing. Oh yeah, they're so funny, so funny.
Gwen, I'm just going to call Claire on for a minute because my screen has gone completely blank and I can't see anything.
Hello.
So,
Is it?
Claire, are you around? Could you just pop back on for a minute?
Absolutely. Do you want to come off and then come on again, Jac?
No answer came the stern reply.
I shall have a word with you anyway, and hopefully Jac will take herself off out
Okie doke.
and then come on again. So let me
Right.
ask you questions then.
Hmm.
Let me have a little think.
Well, you know Derek. I
can hear.
I can tell you that you know Derek from way back to the days of Granada Breeze, and that was where you first met him, wasn't it?
Absolutely. That was, I think it was on Living TV. So I'm 49 now. I was in my early 20s. And he
Yeah.
was one of the only guys that was nice to me. And I think that when you're up and coming in the business, and even though I came from a family of psychics, it's quite competitive. And when you say about the nasty people around, you know, I really resonate with that. And it just shows how thick-skinned he was, really. You know.
Oh yes. You have to have a hugely thick skin to be in the media, to work in the media, but I think to also work in the world of the paranormal, the spirituality, and this sort of thing.
You know what?
Um,
you had the fact that he was not only working in the world of the paranormal, but you add that to the world of television, and that's double the mix, isn't it?
Oh yes, 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 indeed. Quite a noxious mix.
He also had you, Gwen, and I think, do you think that he got to enjoy his career more because you got to travel together and experience everything together? I mean, that must have been amazing, the places you saw.
Oh gosh, yeah. It was we were so fortunate. We were so privileged in visiting some of the countries and the places that we've seen. I mean, to spend sort of almost 2 months in Egypt, going around Egypt, was absolutely fabulous. We went to Petra, and saw, sort of there was a photograph earlier when we went to Salem and
I saw that. I think I can dig it up.
sort of so many places. So privileged.
I've got to ask then, when somebody is a psychic, you get asked by some very strange people with a lot of money to do some very strange things. Did he ever get any requests from sort of people with a lot of money to go to a strange place and do anything strange?
Not strange I mean, lots of police of people offered him sort of vast amounts of money to go and investigate places, but he wasn't always available because he worked so hard and he had a schedule. You can't just drop something, sort of just for the sake of a few quid. You just can't do that. So he turned some things down, and he did some things. Yes, it was usually a person's house where they'd experienced something a little strange, or they even one hugely well-known person just wanted to talk to him.
I bet.
And he spent a very, very, very long evening just chatting.
Yeah.
Not for money, I might add. Just sort of, it was something that Derek felt that he.
But I mean, would you call him a workaholic, or would you think that was just that his work was his life?
His work was his life, definitely. Yeah. Derek lived for spirituality.
Now, because he was taken away too soon, was there anything left on Derek's bucket list that he didn't do that you're going to do for him?
I wouldn't say that there was anything that I felt he'd left me to do. No, I wouldn't say that, because he did achieve an enormous amount of things, but no doubt he would have. Derek being Derek, he would have found things that he would have liked to have done as time progressed. I mean, he was looking forward to retiring.
Bless him. Bless him. Well, before I pop off and leave the interview to Jac, I've got one last question for you. What's on your list of things to do for Gwen Acorah in the future?
Me?
Tell her my question.
Wake up tomorrow morning. I will definitely. It's not a case of I would like to. It's I will keep Derek's name and work going. Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. I think that he deserves that. He put so much time, emotion, and effort into his work that I think it'd be a travesty if I didn't at least keep his name alive. Yeah.
I've got one more question to ask, Jac, and I'm desperate to ask it.
No, go on, that's fine. Stay on with us.
So there's sometimes in my life that I find pressures where you're doing the work you do. Is there anything that Derek would have given up doing what he did to do? Is there anything we didn't know that he wanted to aspire to professionally as well?
No, he didn't. he achieved his dream playing football at the top level. He achieved that dream. He considered himself hugely, hugely privileged to be given the opportunity to be as big as he was in the world of spirituality and the paranormal. He didn't start out that way. We didn't sit in that office in Liverpool thinking, "Ooh, one day you'll be on telly, you'll be on the radio," or this sort of thing. That it didn't happen like that at all. It wasn't pursued. It came to him.
Yeah.
You know, he did readings. He did one-to-one readings in an office in Liverpool, and he got himself a very good reputation because he was good. And sort of word gets round, and the local radio station asked him whether he'd go on to the radio station and do an hour, and he did. And then there was another, so he worked for about 3 local radio stations, and then of course he wrote his first book, and I was promoting it, and I thought the best way to promote it is to draw people's attention to it. So I got the most lurid coloured paper, you know, the Dayglow greens, oranges, this sort of thing, and put all the promotion stuff on that. And one of the places that I sent this promotion pack to was James Whale. James got in touch, or his producer got in touch and said, "Oh, James would like to interview Derek," and we both went, "Oh," because James had
he's
such
scary,
a
isn't he?
Yeah. Oh, hugely scary. And I can remember we went to, we drove to London, we booked ourselves a hotel, and we were bricking it, turning up at the studio, you know, sort of. But James was absolutely lovely, and
is he soft
Derek,
on the show? Because he does seem scary. I don't know if I'd go on a show.
Oh, he's scary on the show. Oh, yes, he is. He's absolutely scary on the show, but he's lovely. He is a lovely, lovely man. And Derek was only supposed to be on for 15 minutes, but he ended up being on the show for the duration. And James asked him to do it again next week, which he did. And then they sorted out that there would be a link to a Manchester studio, which was easier for Derek to get to, and he stayed on the James Whale show for 2 or 3 years, and then James unfortunately contracted kidney cancer. He had to have a kidney removed, and by the time that he came back onto the radio, Derek was too busy to sort of go back with him. So that was his stint on the James Whale show anyway. But he's a lovely man, James. He really is.
I don't know. I was sitting backstage doing the tech, and I was watching Jack, and I was watching Gwen's heart about dealing with all the haters. But do you know what? All the crap that can get thrown at Derek when he's not around to sort of say anything about it. The truth of the matter is, if Derek was no good, he wouldn't have been able to exist and make a living for as long as he did. Because, you know, people wouldn't keep coming back to him. People wouldn't keep coming back with affirmations because he wasn't 20 years old. You know, it was his lifetime. So I think that you've got to remember that when you hear any haters, because people don't like seeing.
People hate. Don't you find that people hate for no reason other than you've gone that little bit higher than they?
It's jealousy. It's jealousy. That's what it is.
Yeah, of course it is. Of course it is. And there's so much of it about, and I don't know why. I mean, I'm astounded sometimes at the behaviour of some people. I really am.
I'll tell you one thing she said, Jack, that when Gwen has said that she doesn't think that Derek had anything left that he'd want to do, I can't believe that he didn't buy his own football team. Can you? During must have been a dream in the bathtub at night, you know. I'll put him there, I'll put them there.
Oh my God! Can you
That's
imagine?
right. I want to ask
Oh,
you,
no.
Gwen, before we go, I want to ask you about the Michael Jackson seance. Do you remember it? Like, I remember it in
I do.
2009
Yeah.
when he
Yeah.
did that seance. It was absolutely fascinating. But there was a very mixed opinion about that, wasn't there? You know,
There
people
was.
were
Yes.
saying things.
There was, and I think that it was too rushed. I think more time should have been spent. They tried to cram so much into such a small space of time, that it didn't work out.
Yeah.
It didn't work out too well. It wasn't one of his better moments, should we put it that way?
I really enjoyed it. I thought it was amazing. It was fascinating.
Some people did, but he wasn't happy. He didn't feel that he'd done his best.
Yeah. I remember Claire, you saying about Derek, because he dressed immaculately and everything, didn't he? But you said you could smell him before you saw him.
I remember seeing Gwen and her in Torquay, and actually, I like a bit of Louis Vuitton, and I think Gwen is actually the reason that I do, because I think you were somewhere in Torquay, and I think you must have had so much of it, and you could smell the aftershave and the perfume, and I remember thinking, oh, they're so glamorous, you know. Somebody commented, was Gwen Derek's style? Did you dress him, Gwen?
No, well, I used to go with him when he was shopping for clothes, and sometimes a restraining hand because he was quite flamboyant, as you know. And his worst mistake were a pair of Rupert Bear trousers, but we won't go there. But
you know what though? I bet they're one of the items that you hold really dear now, probably. You know.
Oh, I have suitcases and suitcases full of Derek's clothes, and I could never part company with them.
Yeah.
No, I couldn't.
And neither did you. You can't get away from his life or his image. And so what you've clearly done is you've jumped on board to celebrate it. And I salute you for that. I think it's absolutely incredible.
So what are you going to do with all that behind you, Gwen? Are you keeping it all?
Well, Anne has asked me whether I will. What I was going to do was auction it for Pathfinder dogs, everything. I mean, the shelves are full of memorabilia. You don't
want those women who are sending their knickers buying his clothes. So don't do that. Come on.
No. Oh dear me, no.
Sorry, too far.
But yeah, ultimately they'll go to raise funds for Pathfinder dogs. Anne's asked me to hold on to them until she's got somewhere to put them. So that's what will happen.
And are you going to write a book, Gwen? I think you should write a book with all these memories and things that you've been telling us.
People keep saying that to me. I've got to finish Derek's book off first.
Oh.
But people keep saying,
do you know what?
Write a book.
You go bigger and you go higher for a man who's going to be talked about for a long time. And, you know, whether it was for good or for bad, we all know he was a good person. Forget the book. You need a movie about his life.
Who would you get to play Derek?
Yeah, I'm serious. Yeah, go on, good question, Jac.
Yeah, who would we get to play Derek then, Gwen?
Goodness knows. I wouldn't have a clue. I really wouldn't have a clue.
What a fabulous film that would be. I mean, imagine, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Well, he was in films. He was.
Was he?
Oh gosh, yes. Did you not see him in Big Fat Gypsy Gangster? Did you not see him? And a couple of other ones as well, Crispy's Curse, and yeah, he's been in 2 or 3 films, and of course he was on Doctor Who, wasn't he? Blink if you missed him, but he was on Doctor Who. Did you not know?
No.
I'm disappointed.
I've been with you, Gwen, as well. So it's not normally about show things. It can normally be about cigarettes or something. Well, we should talk more about that. But sorry, Jack, go on.
No, I was going to say it's really funny because like this evening, I've never ever been kicked off before and like lost. Or you don't think that was Derek sort of saying he wasn't disapproving? You don't think of our interview tonight?
No, not at all. No,
I was worried he'd kick me off.
Well, maybe I was meant to come on.
Me, no.
Maybe I was meant to come on because I came up with the idea that Gwen should do a movie. I think that movie idea is, I mean, come on, set in Liverpool, the Liverpudlian music, the love story of you and him. Oh my, it would be amazing. It would be an Oscar winner.
It would be amazing. But also, I think, Gwen, I don't know whether you know, Gwen, but we do Allegro Live show on Saturday nights and Wednesday nights. And we would really love you to come on one of our shows. Just come on and have a chat with us. And, you know, that would be really, really lovely, wouldn't it, Claire?
It would. But I also know that the most important message tonight, and the course that was most important, of course, for Derek and Gwen, is Pathfinder Dogs. So I definitely think that if everybody has enjoyed Gwen taking the time to come onto our page, that the best thing they could do is at the bottom of the page, scrolling along here, that's where you can find the website for Pathfinder's Dogs. That's what you'd like as well, isn't it?
Absolutely, yes. Most definitely, yes. Support for Pathfinder Dogs, yes.
Forget just a few pennies. If we've got any millionaires watching, how much does it buy a dog? What are we talking, 35 grand?
That would be okay. Big.
Yeah. And maybe if you donate £35,000 to Pathfinder's Dogs, Gwen could give you a pair of Rupert the Bear trousers.
Or maybe we could auction, take Claire out for the day. Whoever wants to take Claire out for the day, then we might do that as an auction.
That would be a punishment, my darling. That would be a punishment for anybody. So.
Oh, well, it's been really, really lovely having you on the show today, Gwen.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, no, it's been lovely. And, you know, I wanted people to see Gwen because we all know about Derek, but it's nice to see Gwen and hear about Gwen. So I'm delighted you came on today. And I hope you'll come back soon.
Oh, I'm sure I will, as long as people aren't too bored.
If people want to find you, Gwen, as well, you do talk a lot on your page, don't you, about Pathfinders as well. So when do you do those lives?
That's on the Pathfinder Dogs Facebook page, actually. That's where we do the lives, and there are always notifications when we're going to go live, but it's the Pathfinder Dogs Facebook page.
Right. So get over to Derek Acorah's page. Get over to Pathfinder Dogs website. If you want to see more of Gwen as well, then you can also find it on the Pathfinders Facebook. That's where it should be as well. That's where you love being, isn't it, Gwen?
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
Great. All right, Jack, I'll let you wrap up and I'll get ready for our next Gemstone show.
Yes, we've got a Gemstone show on after this, Gwen.
Ooh,
well, thank you. Yeah, thank you, Gwen. Thank you, everybody, for watching tonight. Thank you for all your lovely comments. We will go back and have a look at them all afterwards. So until next time, good night.